Hey, welcome to another installment of Minister's Message. So I'm going to begin by reading a passage from John chapter 1, verses 1 to 5, and then talk a little bit about the difference between wishful thinking, optimism, and Christian hope. So I'll begin with the passage. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. All things came into being through him, and without him not one thing came into being. What has come into being in him was life, and the life was the light of all people. And the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness did not overcome it. So, people generally struggle to hold two opposing but equally true principles at one time. There's a fellow named Stockdale who survived 8 years as a prisoner of war when almost everyone else who went through the ordeal with him perished. And so he developed a theory through his experience that the optimists had the most difficulty, and many of them died of a broken heart. They would express their optimism or wishful thinking as being home by Christmas, or Easter, or summer, or their birthday, whatever future horizon they could anticipate. And each time that horizon came and went, their hearts broke a little more until they just had nothing left to live for. Stockdale and the others who survived faced the stark and terrible truth of their situation, while at the same time having faith that they would prevail in the end, that they could make it through anything to the other side of the ordeal. Nadia Bolz-Weber talks about Christian hope being very particular and specific. It is a defiant hope that is very different than wishing or dreaming or optimism. None of these are bad things, but they don't have the power, the strength, the wisdom we need in the face of real despair, struggle, grief, and brokenness. The very core, basic, and foundational confession of Christian faith is expressed in those opening verses of John. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness shall not, cannot, will not, under any circumstances, overcome the light. This is defiance, not wishful thinking. This is defiance in the face of a stark truth. There is a realization in that defiant hope that standing up to the darkness does come with a cost. It won't be easy. But there is something deeper and stronger than what we can see. But it's going to take work to bring it to the forefront. We follow a crucified God, a God that has endured, has seemingly failed, betrayed, dishonored, rejected. Almost every human dignity and pain was thrust upon Jesus. And on the other side, his light, the light, pushed back the darkness. We are 2 months into this pandemic, and I've gone through the whole gambit of emotions. I have to admit to indulging in excessive optimism and wishful thinking at times, rather than Christian hope. We'll be worshiping in the sanctuary by Easter, by May, by June. Things will ease up by spring, by the time our grandbaby is born, by summer holidays, by September. And one event after another, one milestone or birthday or important date has come and gone. And my optimism has been unfounded. Now, luckily for me, I don't put much trust in optimism or wishful thinking, but I am a hopeful person. My hope is grounded in God's grace. My hope is grounded in the resurrection. My hope is in a God who is incarnate, who walked straight into the darkness, who was not overcome by the darkness, and who came out the other side to new life. So even when I find myself going to that dark place that is willing to admit that we may be doing this for a year, or 18 months, or 2 years, I know we will prevail, that the darkness will not overcome the light. God's grace and presence, the love of community, the body, the light of the world, will not be overcome. And so I have hope. Thank you.